player on offense, number 9. He's just kind of battling a lot of different things. We saw him limp off a week ago. It sounds like he's got more like a bruised thigh is the big issue right now. So we'll see how effective number 9 can be for the team in white tonight. And we should also mention they are missing their kicker. Nathan Willis is out. He's got that bug that's going around, and just better of it not to try and come out here tonight. So wishing him the best. And so we're kicking off for the Cats is going to be number 3, Joe Kruger, who joined the squad mid-season, has taken over the punting duties. So Eastview in the home all blacks here. Eagan with the white and the gray pants. And it's going to be a short kick, actually going to be fielded about the 15 by Eastview. Good return coming up through the middle. And look at that, Eastview's going to be out across the 35-yard line. Good return for the Eastview Lightning. I believe that was Rosh on the return for Eastview, number 23. Or DJ Barber is also one, number 81 for the Lightning.
Temperature is 22 degrees.
Perfect night for football. Temperature low 40s right now. There is very little wind, but as they used to say down here, there's always a chance of lightning.
Yes, yes.
Kind of cute they used to do that, I always thought. So Eric Ryman going to lead the offense out for the Eastview Lightning. And they're going to run it near side. Look out, here's a good opportunity early for the Lightning. And they're going to be out across the 45 of the Wildcats. That's number 37, the ball carrier, Quincy Suggs, and we will see him an awful lot tonight. But we also have a foul back at the line of scrimmage. Nathan seems to think this one's going to be a personal foul.
Well, there was the referee at the side here. The referee at the point of where the tackle occurred threw his hat in the air at the strong urging of one of the Eastview coaches, and I'm wondering if this is going to be offsetting fouls.
Now let's take a look here.
Made up a hold and a personal foul on one going one way, one going the other way.
The official just off to the left of your screen. Let's stay with the official.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 6. That was a live ball foul that will be enforced 10 yards. After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense, number 6. That penalty will be enforced 15 yards and will remain first down.
So there you go. McGinley, the guilty party for the Wildcats. Extra hit out of bounds there by number 6 for the Eagan Wildcats. McGinley, who's really shifted, I would say, more so to defense after starting the year back, kind of the running back, I should say.
Yeah, I was hoping to see McGinley be able to sweep to the boundary a little more often. It proved, to give us a change of pace from Carter Lyons. But obviously, the coaching staff has decided that his best position is at safety.
We've got whistles for I believe a false start upcoming on Eastview.
Well, those are the kinds of penalties that Coach Sherwin's not going to be very happy with, especially coming out of the gate like this. I mean, they've got good field position. They have an opportunity to get some momentum and really put Eagan in a challenging position. And again, mental mistakes are not going to sit well with the coaching staff.
And it was Larry Wright, the receiver for Eastview, that was called for the infraction. And I know we talked a couple weeks ago about receivers. I mean, you're looking down the line. I don't know how you can jump. Ryman, little swing pass to Suggs. Couldn't quite hang on. Hofstad was right there for the Wildcats. Off the fingertips of the back, and it's going to be a 2nd and about 8 for the Eastview Lightning. Just underway here on ETV. You're home for Wildcat Sports. And as always, thanks for those of you watching us tonight on the World Wide Web, wherever you're at. Glad you're with us here for Wildcat football against the big district rival, the Eastview Lightning.
Now, the Eagan Wildcat roster doesn't have heights and weights, but Ryan Meekin is matched up against Tyrell Jones at the left tackle for Eastview. Tyrell is 6'5", 310. Ryan Meekin looks like a 4th grader compared to this guy.
Ryman fakes the Suggs. They're going to come back near side. Little screen look out. This is going to be, can he go the distance? Eastview is going to be touched almost down at the 5-yard line. That's right for the Eastview Lightning. That play started back at the 40, and it's going to drop down to the Wildcat. Looks like the 5-yard line. 55 yards on that play.
Well, a well-executed middle screen. It was the receiver coming out, hitting the flat. The pass was on time. There was good blocking in front of him, and quite frankly, there was an Eagan Wildcat defender there who had a chance to turn that play into a modest gain, and the tackle just wasn't made or the angle wasn't taken, and so we've got 1st and goal at the 5.
Well, that'll make it for the false start. Suggs Can he get through? He's going to be bottled up at about the 3 by a number of the Eagan Wildcats. Sackmaster in there, number 13. Looks like Downs, number 92, in there as well for your Eagan Wildcats.
Well, if there's one thing that the Eagan Wildcats got a lot of practice with, Mike, last week, it was plays inside the 10-yard line, playing defense, their goal line defense, and so it'll be interesting to see if they can learn from last week, doing a very credible job inside the 10-yard line against a very good Prior Lake offense. We'll see what they can come up with here against these Eastview Lightning.
Yeah, they were called on so many times, and there's only so many times you're going to keep Prior Lake out when you give them golden opportunities like that. Suggs, he tried to squeak his way in, but he was taken down quickly by number 44, the Eagan Wildcats. And number 40 is Zach Merwin, the junior linebacker. So it's going to be 3rd and goal from the 4. He might have lost a yard actually on that play.
He sure did. There was cross motion in the backfield, and the quarterback handed the ball off, but there was great penetration, as you say. It was Merwin on the outside, maybe Meekin on the other side, somebody over there, and maybe one of the linebackers, might have been Sackmaster, also bottling it up.
3 receivers for the Lightning from the 4, and it's Kelly. No, I think they are going to call a timeout. They are. Well, we talked about it before the game, or Coach Sherwin did, just saying. Looks back to that Eden Prairie game back in week 1. Eastview was on the 5-yard line. The last play of the game, couldn't convert. I think he said it was the Rosemont game. They threw a Hail Mary. Kid got tackled at the 5. That close to knocking off a couple of quality teams. That's 4-2 versus 2-4.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, not only for playoff seeding, but in just terms of how your season goes, what it looks like when these seniors look back 10 years from now. Were we a 2-4 team or a 4-2 team? And the question that Kelly Sherwin's going to ask himself, and those seniors have to ask themselves, is: are we doing everything we can out on this field to be successful? And are we putting ourselves in a good position to be successful and win when we're relying on those last-minute, last-second types of plays? And I suspect those guys probably say to themselves, hey, we can be doing more. We can be working harder. Don't let it come down to a Hail Mary. Don't let it come down to a goal line stand. Let's take advantage of our opportunities.
And to Kelly Sherwin's credit, he told me that Eden Prairie game, it was a time mismanagement error on his part. So it's great to see a coach actually stand up and say, yep, I blew that one. So bottom line right now, it's 3rd and 4 coming out of the timeout are the Lightning. Looks going to come back near side, and he's going to the end zone, and I believe that's going to be caught. Touchdown, Eastview. Number 6 right on the reception. Larry Wright, number 6, gets 6, and we're 1:49 into this one. It's 6-0 Eastview.
Yeah, it was an easy pitch and catch. Now, credit, I know it's hard to find silver linings sometimes when there's a touchdown, but there was great pressure by the Eagan defensive line there that if they keep that up, that might be an interesting item here for the rest of the game. But it was an easy pitch and catch on the slant. Wright is a big physical receiver. The defensive backs for Eagan have had some challenges this year playing with those big receivers. Think back to the Farmington game. So, I think that's what we would have maybe expected.
Reese Myron Darnier hits the scoreboard to the length on that one, and he did put it through the uprights. You said $1:49 gone by, 7-0 Wildcats as you look at McGinley coming off the field. They gave up that one big play, and that really is what killed them on that drive. 5 plays, 63 yards that time for the Lightning. And we're not even 2 minutes in, but boy, Eagan has got to bounce back with a big drive right here, don't they?
Yeah, well, they have to. They're going to be doing it against a team that has not given up more than, I think the statistic you pulled was they haven't given up more than 17 points in a game this year.
Yeah, they averaging, I think it was 11.2 they allowed, and Eastview only scores 12 a game.
Yeah, so their offense hasn't been overly prolific, and their defense has been very, very solid. So they've got their work cut out for them on the Eagan side of the football. The question becomes, are they going to get, A, are they going to get good field position off this kickoff return? B, can they do something to get at least one first down to give themselves some confidence?
And I asked Kelly Sherwin, I was talking ahead of my roster, and I said, Kelly, who's playing really well for you on defense? And he just starts going, that number, that number, that number, that number. It's just really, he said it's been really a team effort. There's not, one stud, so to speak, out there. Just everybody is pitching in, doing their job is what he said.
Well, gosh, I don't think you can have statistics like that and have just 1 or 2 studs standouts. I mean, it is a team effort.
McGinley and Hanson will be back deep. This will be Hanson. Scoops up at about the 12. Cuts to the 15, back to the 12, back to the 15. And he's going to be shy of the 20-yard line. So the Cats going to start inside their own 20. And really, and that's been a problem for Eagan as well. It's just the starting position has been really, really poor as of late.
Yeah.
And there's a late flag on the play, by the way. I think Prior Lake, every drive except one, I think was 20 and in.
Yes. Yeah. They started in Eagan territory, I think, on every drive except one.
Blindside block for team number 12. That penalty will be enforced after this is the goal. First down, Eagan.
And now the Eagan Wildcats get to start on their 10-yard line with the blindside block. I'm not sure if we have video of it or if you were able to see it necessarily at home. We'll have to check that later. But the bottom line is they're going to be starting on their 10-yard line against a defense that is very, very good. And they're going to have to, the Eagan Wildcats are going to have to get a first down. They've got to do that here to prevent them getting behind in this game and losing the field position battle.
And that was Meekin that was the guilty party. He's the one that had a couple of long scores a couple weeks ago up in that game against Farmington up at the TCO Performance Center. Sorensen, the quarterback again for the Wildcats. He gets his second start. Straight ahead handoff is going to be, I'm assuming that's going to be Carter Lyons. Actually, I stand corrected. We said Carter might be a little bit more of a decoy tonight, and it looks like indeed. Got to go to my roster on this one. That's actually Isaac Oland, I believe, that time on the carry. Now we might see a little more Cole Gibson. He wears number 1. 5 yards on that carry.
Well, Carter certainly has established himself as being the heart and soul of this offense with respect to, you got to think he's going to get the ball on almost every play. So using him as a decoy is a great idea.
Here goes Meekin in motion, straight ahead. Good forward progress here. Picked up maybe a couple. It's going to set up a 3rd and short for the Wildcats. Number of Eastview Lightning players in on that stop. First man in, it looks like it was number 52, Jack Lewison, one of those guys that Sherwin circled. Actually, I stand corrected. It's not Olin. It's number 19 for the Wildcats. That's Fernando Chavez. Okay. So 8:58 and counting.
Was that a question or a declarative statement?
That was definitely a question.
Oh, I see.
3rd and 2 for the Cats. Rolling to Sorensen. He's going to keep it. Can he get the first? Yeah, he gets out across. Good individual effort there by the quarterback coming around the end. And that's going to move the sticks for the Eagan Wildcats here on their first drive.
Well, great effort, Mike, and he made a good decision. He made a good decision once he saw that he had the opportunity to get that first down with his legs. He tucked the ball and run. He didn't hold the ball out and try to loop a cute pass over the top or do something that you've seen, Brett Favre or Kirk Cousins do. This is simply a situation where watch as Sorensen takes this ball, tucks it, and runs there, gets at least one block there to slow up the Eastview attack.
Fresh set of downs from the 23 go the Eagan Wildcats. Very similar looking play to the last one. Not quite as much. Well, actually, that's going to be pretty close ultimately once you get over on that far side. And again, Sorensen, the sophomore signal caller for the Eagan Wildcats. Looked like 36 was in on that stop for Eastview. That's Sam Lewison. We mentioned Sam Lewison, 36, and 52 is Jack Lewison. Yes, they're twins for the Eastview Lightning.
I thought that might be the case.
So 2nd and 6 upcoming for your Eagan Wildcats. About 7.5 to go here. Opening quarter, Eastview scored on their opening drive. They're up by a 7-0 count. There goes Meekin in motion. And the Cats are going to run it once again. Again, number 19 is listed as Chavez. We'll have to check on that. I wonder if there was maybe a jersey issue. Chavez is listed as a wide receiver. We'll have to see what we can find out on that one. So 3rd and 3 after a 3-yard pickup that time. So running style looks kind of like Lions, so that's why I'm wondering if there was a jersey issue, but we'll see. Here's McGinley cutting to the outside. He's not going to have a chance. Quickly tossed out of bounds over there by Eastview's number 40. That's Mikey Camano. He's one of the captains on this Eastview squad. And he was one of the many seniors that was honored before the game here tonight at Lightning Stadium. I think there was 37 seniors that were unofficially introduced.
That is a very impressive class, Mike. That is a big senior class. That's a big class at any level.
Absolutely. Kruger to kick it away for the Wildcats. Back deep for Eastview. And we've got problems for the Wildcats. Get out of the end zone. And he fumbles it, and it's going to be did he get across the line? Eastview's going to have the ball on about the 1 foot line.
Nope.
Nope, they're going to call the safety.
Okay, actually, that's about the smartest thing. That's about the best outcome you can have in
Absolutely.
that situation. About the best outcome you can have in that situation is for Kruger to push that ball out the back of the end zone if he can't get to it. It's unfortunate, but that's a situation where the kicker has got to do something. He's got to try to make a play after his teammates have put him in a really tough position. But in the end, Mike, that is easily the best thing that could have come out of that.
If you're 26 or Eastview, PJ Swans come in and you see that loose ball sitting there, how big did your eyes get?
Yeah, they must have gotten pretty big. It's interesting. Full credit to Kruger. He found a way to come out with that ball. I mean, he was outnumbered maybe 4-1 in that scrum, and he found a way to get that ball. And not only did he not stop at the 1, he was in the end zone. So maybe we'll have to maybe interview him after the game and ask him if did you make sure you were in the end zone before you covered that thing?
I'll tell you, I'm looking across it. You look at the Eagan Wildcats. We saw him on the sideline there a moment ago. I don't like the body language I'm seeing right now.
No,
I do not see a team that has the look like they're ready to come back and fight. And we're not even halfway through the first quarter yet, and they're down 9-0. Granted, I mean, I know you're 0-6 coming in. I mean, they're teenagers. We understand this is the game that realistically, you look at the rest of the schedule. This is the one they're going to get if they're going to get one.
Yeah, that's true. I think based on their next opponent, I think if there's been an opportunity to compete, this is going to be it. I mean, the question for Eagan is, how can look. It's been a challenging season, no question about that. But are you going to let this happen to you? Are you going to let this just lay down and let Eastview walk all over you? Or are you going to fight on every play, on every snap of the ball, try to win every snap of the ball? You may not win the game, but on every snap of the ball, are you competing and trying to beat the guy next across from you or next, and work with the guy next to you?
So Isaiah Michikanis and DJ Barber back deep for Eastview, and there'll be a little squib kick. Is that going to go out of bounds? Indeed, it will. And the miscues continue to pile up for the Eagan Wildcats. We mentioned Nathan Willis is not here tonight, our regular kicker. He's battling that bug that's going around. And that was doing the best they can is Joe Kruger, the punter. We're talking before, almost surprised they don't do like a free kick. They kind of drop it and go.
Well, after a lot of safeties, you will see teams punt the ball.
Yeah. And the Eastview student section with the "We Can't Hear You" chant. Jersey out is the theme tonight for the Eastview student section. Yes, I did see a Jimmy Butler jersey down there. I see a Danny Valencia.
At the risk of a revolt, I'm going to say that's one of the lamer themes I've seen this year. We've had blackouts and pinkouts and whiteouts and all Americans, and we've seen all sorts of fun, cool stuff. But jersey out, I don't know about that. I'm seeing a lot of. It kind of looks like a potpourri down there.
Yeah. Well, I saw a couple more tailgating, and there was a couple guys and gals kind of matching jerseys, and I thought, Sadie Hawkins already? Well, that's cute. But that's like February or something. Here comes Suggs for Eastview run right in. He gets popped over there. 0-2 leading the way, and Suggs hustling back. But 0-2 with the big pop for the Wildcats. It's maybe a yard that time, did Suggs. Watch this here at the end.
Suggs was very happy about the way he lowered the boom at the end. I think that was Sackmaster that got the worst of that. I think Sam's going to, next time he tackles him, he's going to want to deliver the blow rather than catch the blow.
Yeah. They're going to give him 2 yards on that one, actually. I don't know if the officials felt bad for him, but Eastview already up 9-0 in this one, and we're not even halfway through the first quarter yet. They had a long drive. Eagan got one first down, and then a bad punt led to a safety. And here goes Suggs. Look at that surge right through. Boy, that guy's quick. Gets down to about the 33-yard line. Give him 10.
It's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there was such a surge, but one of the reasons there was such a surge is, I don't know if you could see it on the telecast. I was watching it live. Number 92, Nick Downs, was absolutely being bear hugged right at the point of attack, and that's something that I understand. You don't want to say you're being held on every play when you're a defensive lineman, but when a guy's arms are around you, and Nick's a big boy, it should be pretty obvious.
All right, and they're going to hand it off. And Vinny LeBear and others are going to get in there after a very minimal gain that time by number 18 for the Eastview Lightning. That's Isa Michikanis. Gets down. Maybe we'll give him 1 on that one. It might have been 2, but so we're inside 6 minutes to go. That's the first carry of the game for Michiganas. Second and, say, a long 8, short 9. That Eagan defense there, you look at some of those guys. Downs 92 in there. Those guys have had a rough season. Brett Heinlein in there is 55 as well. He's on that defensive line. Ryman, long count for the Lightning. Does Eastview make a shot for the end zone here? They are, because Ryman's going to go deep, looking for Wright. He got one earlier, and he's got 2 scores tonight for the Eastview Lightning. Walks it in from the 2-yard line. He beat 0-2 on that one, and it's 31 yards. 15-0 Lightning.
Well, the coverage was good with respect to the positioning. 0-2 was right there. He's right there in front of him, but that's a situation where you have a very tall receiver who went up to get the ball, and 0-2 is not as tall, and that created a situation where it was a mismatch. And credit to the Eastview being able to put the quarterback putting air under the ball to let his receiver go get that ball.
We said Eastview's season high for points is 20. They beat Burnsville 20-0 back here in week number 2. And looks like they're going to try to add 2 more on here. Ryman just throwing across the middle for Wright. Sliding catch makes it 17-0 Eastview.
Well, that's the second time the Eagan Wildcats inside the 5-yard line have been burned on a slant. And I guess at some point, the defensive backs, the coaches and the defensive backs have to get their heads together and say, okay, guys, inside the 5, they've run 2 slants on 2 consecutive drives when they've had the ball and the opportunity to score either a 2-point conversion or a touchdown. How are we going to take that slant away? And I'll say this. The defensive backs for Eagan are not the biggest guys in the world, but they can take a slant away.
Yes.
They can jump a slant. They can use their bodies to take away that slant, make them throw a fade, make them throw a quick out, make them do something else.
We've mentioned this, as you see, it's a white out there for the Pit. Actually, a good showing here by the Pit, making the trek down here to Apple Valley. We mentioned first quarter woes, early game woes for the Eagan Wildcats this year. First quarter scoring, Eagan has 7. Their opponents now have 71.
Well, that's going to be a situation where you're digging yourself a lot of holes, and we've seen that earlier this year. They've dug themselves holes against Shakopee. They've dug themselves holes against Farmington. They've dug themselves holes in virtually every game, and when you do that, it's incredibly challenging to compete at this level.
Yep. We'll see if the Cats can get something going here on this return. This will be Hansen, it looks like. Yeah, he will scoop it on the bouncer about the 17, and he gets tripped up. Nice downfield tackle there by Eastview's number 27. That's Brian Zurich, the senior wideout. And the Cats, what was that, about a 4-yard return, and they're going to start at their own 22-yard line. Well, we mentioned the last drive, you got to go down and do something. Well, even more urgency now, and we're halfway through the first quarter.
That's right. Now Eagan was able to in their first offensive series, they got a first down. They moved the football with some, and the offensive line. Candidly, the offensive line showed some surge, and so I would let those big guys just keep leaning on those defensive linemen for Eastview. Grind them down. See what kind of momentum you can get here.
Kind of see if they maybe let kind of Colby Sorensen get some a little more runs to the outside. I know they really like his athleticism and the way he can get to the outside and make something happen. He's showing blitz, by the way. And Sorensen will keep it. Might have got half a yard on that one. All kinds of Eastview players in there. Looked like first man in might have been number 33 for the Lightning, Jack Vandenberg. Looked like Kyle Lee was in there as well for Eastview.
It was an option action over to the right side. It's a curious call. It's certainly something that we haven't seen necessarily Eagan run this year, and certainly that's something that I'm sure Coach Hansen's saying, okay, we got to put some wrinkles in this offense, try to shake things loose, do something a little bit different. Options always makes me a little nervous if you're going to do it on a regular basis because you're putting a lot of responsibility in the hands of a sophomore.
Absolutely. Eastview, they're going to bring extras. They're thinking about it. Yeah, here he comes. I'm trying to come up the middle. Sorensen, look out, and Sorensen's going to get dropped back at the 20. It's going to be a loss of about 3 on that play. Looks like it was number 26, I believe, first man in there for the Eastview Lightning, P.J. Swanson. Another one of those captains for Eastview, and he's the one that nearly got the fumble recovery on the safety. So it's going to be 3rd and about 12 for the Wildcats.
Well, Sorensen's going to be asked to do something here he hasn't done a whole lot, which is try to get this team out of a really tough third and long situation. Offensive line has been blocking well. That sack notwithstanding.
Sorensen, by the way, a week ago, 3 of 5 for 7 yards. Straight ahead, and that will maybe get back to the original first down. Again, that's set number 19. So,
have we seen a number 1 out there? Could that be Gibson?
That's what I was wondering too, if it was Gibby, but we'll have to try and find out if there was indeed a number switch.
Okay.
No offense to Sanchez, but we haven't called that one all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that's either Gibby or look out. High snap, got it down. Crow just got that off. Fair catch called for and made back at the Wildcat 47-yard line. So Eastview once again will have outstanding field position at the 47-yard line after the fair catch by Zurich. And boy, they were close to getting that one.
Yeah, I think if I'm the Wildcat coaching staff, I've got to be thinking about how I'm going to change this up from a long snapping position standpoint. That ball is being released at way too high of a launch angle. That ball barely makes it out of off Kruger's foot before 4 Lightning players are on top of him. You know, something I saw Eastview do yesterday in the freshman game was they would line up in the pistol with their punter and have him take 3 or 4 steps to the sideline and just kind of kick it from the pistol instead of a long snap because they apparently couldn't long snap.
Ryman will hand it off on first down. Sugg is going to cut it to the outside, maybe turning it back line of scrimmage. Not going to get their good open field tackle up there by the Wildcats. I believe that definitely was 0-2. And it's going to be a loss of about 3 as Charles come up and made the nice play.
No, 0-2, fantastic football play. Not only does he fight off the blocker, he keeps his outside shoulder free, he makes a good tackle. And how many times, Mike, have we seen plays like that where our feet get us into a great position to make a tackle and our arms don't work? That time 0-2's arms worked. He made a great tackle. It was a clean tackle, a safe tackle, taking him to the dirt. Great play by the young man.
And the thing is, too, he fought off that blocker, so Suggs had to keep going out.
That's right.
Before he knew it, that sideline was right there. 2nd and long for the Lightning. And we've got whistles aplenty. I'm assuming that's going to be false start against, and there go the arms. Yep, it'll be false start on the Eastview Lightning with 2:10 to go here in quarter number 1. A game that has been all Eastview thus far. It is 17-0 Lightning. For those of you that are just joining us, yes, that is an accurate score on the bottom of your screen.
Prior to the snap, illegal snapping of the football, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Okay, so you have a snap infraction, certainly against the center. That's going to give them the Wildcats 5 yards. Now watch Larry Wright on the outside. I'd bet you a dinner at your favorite fast food restaurant. He was lining up well into the neutral zone. Now maybe it's an optical illusion from up here, but keep an eye on number 6 at the bottom of your screen.
You happen to look down. Yeah, he is right there, that's for sure. And I was dropped by the Eastview tight end, number 87 that time. That's Tate Mahachik. Mahachik, he's a pretty big target there. 6'6", 215. I can't say this for sure, but I'm going to guess he had an older brother that played here named Jake.
Might have. Good question.
Mahachik, boy, he was a heck of an athlete.
We'll have to ask him. Ask him after the game.
Yep, Tate just a junior for Kelly Sherwin's squad. So 45, Vinny LeBaire and the Wildcat defense looking to make a stop here on a 3rd and 19 for the Eastview Lightning that need to get down to the Wildcat 38 to move the sticks. You sure would think passing situation. And indeed it will be. And they're going to coming across the middle. There's Suggs. Boy, he was open. Just a hair underthrown. McGinley there to potentially pop him, though, for the Wildcats.
And Nick Downs came on a tackle twist and absolutely lit up the quarterback. It was a fantastic job. Watch this. Ooh, at the end of that play, off to the left of your screen, you couldn't see it because the camera did move to try to catch the play. But that was, again, good pressure by Eagan. And you know what? That's the kind of thing that they haven't shown us a lot yet this year.
Absolutely.
They have not run a lot of tackle twisting. They haven't run a lot of stuff that's given them opportunities to make plays.
And the punt by Tran is going to be down to the 25-yard line. Understand this is Tran's first game punting for the Eastview Lightning. Little switcheroo back at the punter position for Kelly Sherwin's squad. So Eagan's going to take over at their own 25-yard line. Third drive of the game upcoming for the Wildcats. And this is their best starting position.
I was just going to ask you if that in fact was the case, because I seem to recall all of their other drives starting at the 10 or the 15-yard line. So hopefully Eagan does, again, what they did in the first drive and just get a first down and have those big guys lean.
It's a handoff. There's Carter Lyons, number 9. Oh, and he gets upended, darn near cartwheeled on the far side by Eastview's number 15 coming up from the secondary. That's Peter Pushner, and down is, I assume, is that Lyons?
It is.
And I know Coach Hansen said that Carter wanted to give it a go tonight, battling really a bruised thigh.
Well, that tackle was precisely on the play in the area on his thighs and his lower body that it would be potentially challenging if he's battling already what is a rough thigh injury.
Diana Bachland out for the Eagan Wildcats, the Eagan trainer. You were talking a little bit earlier about a bet at our favorite fast food restaurant.
Yes.
I prefer some of our sponsors instead. Let's go to Cooper's Bar and Grill, Baldman Brewing, Wyatt's Twisted Americana. Ooh, those are good burgers. And Buffalo Wild Wings, you can never go wrong with at the BW. Cooper's and Baldman.
I'm willing to up the ante to that. I can do that.
And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to complain about Cooper's or Baldman. Plenty of liquid refreshment available at those fine establishments in Eagan. Glad to have him on board for Wildcat football.
Glad to see Carter Lyons able to walk to the sidelines, but he's walking very gingerly. Mike, I wouldn't be shocked if his night's done.
I would think so.
Especially given everything he's done for this team, for this program this season, to keep throwing him out there if he's not 100% or even close to 100%. You have to feel for the young man.
Well, we asked Coach Hansen a couple weeks ago, we asked about Carter getting beat up, and he said, this is a kid who tells me he wants the ball every play still. You got to love the guts, but he has taken such a beating this year. Straight ahead, I'm going to guess that is Gibson. We're going to try and find out here at some point who that is. But yeah, you're right. We have not called Gibson tonight, and I'm going to guess that's him.
And we haven't seen number 1 even on the field, to my knowledge. So, a little bit of junior sleuthing at halftime is probably going to lend us, give us an answer.
I like that, junior sleuthing. That's good. Inside a minute to go here, opening quarter on ETV. You're at home for Wildcat Sports. It's the Eastview Lightning 17. Wildcats looking to get something on the board. Sorensen going to throw it across the middle. Look out. Hello. Big pop over there, and that was going to be called the tight end out of the reception. But meeting him quickly, Mikey Camano. Again, one of those big defensive players for the Eastview Lightning. Minimal gain on that play, and punt time.
Well, it's frustrating to run a route that is not going to give you the first down, but at the same time, that was still a route down the field. Call made a nice catch in traffic, took a big hit. So credit to him, and maybe that's something they can come back to next drive.
And looks like the clock will expire. Yeah, if you're Eagan, why even bother? Yeah, let this thing run down, and you don't want anything bad to happen here. So the first quarter is in the books, and it's the Eastview Lightning 17, the Eagan Wildcats nothing. Let's take ourselves a quick break here on ETV, and we'll be back with the second quarter momentarily.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hey, we welcome you back inside Lightning Stadium. Mike Cook here, Nathan Cron beside me, and Wildcats, it's adventures in punting time as we start quarter number 2. We said this is a gorgeous night for football, and indeed that is your score as we start quarter number 2. Josh Sibley leading the crew down in the truck tonight here at, happy to be over here in the eastern part of Apple Valley at a very busy Eastview High School tonight. They've got a theater production going on, so there's 1,000 people, and they've got a 16-team volleyball tournament that starts tonight. So parking at a premium in Eastview here tonight, and short kick Eastview is going to get. So they're going to start at about the 47-yard line. the same 47 they were on last time. However, because of the quarter change, it's now their own 47.
It is their own 47. They Eastview is going to take over. You know, the positive there is that the punt snap was on the mark and on target, and at least Kruger was able to get it off cleanly without any major stress. So, you know, we've talked, Mike, all this season about how Eagan has got to do something on defense to create big plays. And for the first half of the year, there weren't very many big plays. Then against Farmington, Sackmaster, takes that pick six back, really turns that game, or helps turn that game around, really, gives them an opportunity to win and be competitive. The Eagan defense needs to make a play here. They need to do something exciting to get this momentum back.
Ryman's got 3 receivers to work with, and they're going to send the tight end in motion. Mahachik. Here's Suggs, the running back. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage as he fell forward, though. Good pressure that time by the Wildcats. I think Vinny LeBear, first man in for Eagan, number 45. And Downs there on the bottom of the pile, 92. Meekin in there, Merwin in there as well, number 40. For the Wildcats.
Despite how Eastview has played here in the first quarter, their offense has, as you pointed out, Mike, has not been prolific this season. Now, yes, they've played some excellent football teams, but they have not been prolific in terms of scoring points. So, if Eagan can come up with a few stops here, they'll have a chance to get back into this football game.
See if they go to the air. They will. Just right across the middle, too far. Mahachik through his hands, and McGinley's looking at it like, oh, I had a shot at that one.
Yeah, that's absolutely one McGinley wants back. Let's take a look at this replay. Look at this ball off the fingertips, and McGinley has a chance on it there. It's he's a step away, so it was going to be a heck of an athletic play. But nonetheless, that's the kind of thing that Eagan needs. Eagan needs a safety to come up and take a tip ball. They need a sack or a fumble. They need to do something that's going to shake things up. Right now, this defensive line might be playing the best they play all year, Mike.
I would agree wholeheartedly with you on that one. 3rd and long for the Lightning. Watching that right end for the Cats. He is on sides. Good pressure. And too far that time for right. And Eastview's going to punt. But try here, murmuring the crowd. I'm looking. Is there a flag on the field? No, just incomplete.
I sure don't see one.
I don't either.
There was, I think the crowd was maybe thinking there might be a roughing the passer call as Ryman was taken down, and I didn't catch the number on who took him down, but somebody did get to him and knock him down. But it looked like a pretty clean play. Didn't look like it was excessive or anything like that. So, again, I don't, maybe this defensive line, I was a little, I was picking on them a little bit in the last broadcast. This defensive line's playing great, and now we've got a bad snap.
And Eastview, look at this. You want your season summed up in one play?
That's it. I was expecting a punt. I wasn't even looking. The ball was on the ground, and I don't know how Eagan's defense. Here
we go.
God bless him for having to come back out on the field again. The one thing we can say confidently is that was not planned by Eastview. That was just an incredibly heads-up play by a punter. To be fair, if you're Eagan's punt return punt coverage team, how do you plan for something like that? You don't.
No,
you just
don't.
That was just a hell of a play by Eastview.
And they're going to move the sticks on a very improbable play of 17-0. And there's a fumble, and Ryman is just going to fall on that back at the 46. 2nd and 16 upcoming for Eastview.
I'm particularly proud of Nick Downs that he did not fall on the quarterback at that time.
There was time coming
we all saw him coming, and I'm thinking, how am I going to stop that massive humanity? And he managed to avoid Ryman for the most part. So luckily we did not get an extra flag there.
Yeah, you see 92 in white there, Downs. Yeah, he's definitely a big boy on that offensive line for the Wildcats. Ryman for Eastview. They're going to inside handoff. Michikanis, look out. Still on his feet, down to almost the 25-yard line. And they are going to actually spot him at the 25, so 21 yards on the burst by the Eastview ball carrier.
Well, great blocking at the point of attack. 87 pins up, the tight end pins down our defensive end, and they're able to get to the outside. That's a situation where we can't get pinned to the inside. If I don't think Eastview doesn't seem to be running between the tackles a whole lot. They're crashing off tackle or outside. And if that's the case, our defensive ends, our outside linebackers have got to keep their outside shoulder free.
From the Cat 25, here comes Suggs. Now he cuts it back in, And he runs right into Sackmaster, and that's not where you want to go if you're a ball carrier.
No, that looked particularly uncomfortable. I think Sackmaster did a great job there of making that play look easy. It was not an easy play, but he made it look easy.
Sackmaster, I believe, had 10 total tackles last week. Leader for the Wildcats, one more than Vinny LeBert. And that game with the defense, as you said earlier, they were called on to do way too much last week in that game.
Absolutely were. Absolutely.
The offense just struggled. All those turnovers deep in their own end. So you see 9:09 and counting to go before the half. 17-0 Eastview as they've got that line spread out. And here goes Suggs. Cuts right, cuts up the middle. And he's going to set up a 3rd and about 3 as he kind of scampered or scooted his way inside the 20-yard line. Like first man for the Wildcats was Merwin, and Sackmaster there as well.
I was going to say squirted up to about the 20-yard line. I think those are great words you use, Mike, and I think that's absolutely what he did. I mean, Suggs is a water bug. He is clearly a water bug, whip it back, and he did a great job of taking that inside. That's not an area where Eastview's done a great job tonight.
Suggs is listed at 5'10", 170, and I'm thinking that's generous. Yeah, I think that's Michikanis, I believe, that time. McGinley upends him.
That's going to be 4th down.
Yes, it is. And Eastview's got to go for this, don't they?
I think so. I can't tell you that I've scouted the Eastview, kicking crew.
No.
If they did have it. Now, here's the thing. As a coach, you would like to know that in this situation, you could kick a field goal if you needed it. So it tells us something a little bit about their field goal kicking opportunities and options here, the fact that they're going to go for it here.
But you also realize if you go down maybe get a touchdown here, that could be the dagger.
It could be.
That's why we're up here and Kelly Sherwin's down there. Quick throw, trying to get across the middle, and that play was covered well by McGinley. And the Cats are going to take over a Michikanis intended target. So the Cats hold it at their own 19-yard line. An opportunity to get something going here. Good coverage by McGinley. You'll see it right at the top of your screen. Might even got there a hair early.
Well, Sackmaster almost had his hands on it, and that, if Sackmaster had found a way to come up with that football, that was going to be 6 the other way. So, excellent play there by the Eagan defense. As challenged as they've been this year, the defensive line is playing as well as we've seen all year. Their defensive backs that time on that drive stepped up and made some big plays.
That's it, without a doubt. By far their best performance on that line tonight. Sorensen. McKinley, look out. Back at the 12-yard line, there's a fumble, and guess what? The defense is back on the field.
Defense is back on the field inside their own 15-yard line, and that's, you heard me, Mike, earlier talk about running the option and how challenging that is and how dangerous it and risk-reward it can be when you run the option, especially when you don't run the option all the time. If you run the option on every play or every other play, you get better at it. You get your timing down, your pitch relationship. That ball never should have left Sorensen's hands. It should have, and now we're backed up against our own our own goal line, effectively in the red zone for Eastview.
And that was P.J. Swanson with the strip and the recovery. Boy, has he been on a lot of plays tonight for Eastview. So back out go the Lightning. Straight ahead, inside the 10, down to the 6-yard line. And that was Michikanis, actually. Had a double check on that one. It was 27 for the Wildcats. Jake Kelly, though, was just kind of hanging on for the ride there for the last, 4 or 5 yards of that one.
Yeah, I don't think I'd make a form tackling video with that play necessarily lit up, and I might choose something else. This Eagan defense has been called on, as you said, Mike, to do so much over the last few games. If they can come up with something here, win or lose this game, it's borderline legendary.
Right's to the right of your screen. He's got 2 receptions already tonight for scores, plus a 2-point conversion. Ryman, he'll hand it off. We've got whistles aplenty. I think Eastview was moving. See if the officials agree.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 18. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That was Michikanis, the guilty party. I think you saw Tran run in number 2, and there seemed to be some confusion right there. which led to the problem for the Lightning.
Yeah, they had 2 men in motion, 2 men moving, and they were not set before the ball was snapped. So that was, you can shift in high school sports, in high school football, you can shift, but that means everyone's got to shift and move in a way that's not simulating the snap, and they have to be reset. They weren't reset.
It's right against O2 on the right side. They fake to him straight ahead. Michiganas down to the 1. McGinley saves the touchdown, but it's well, that's going to be a 5. Or no, got the penalty in there as well. So it was about a 10-yard run that time for the Eastview ball carrier.
First and goal, Lightning.
Yeah, they're going to spot that one. Looks like at the 2-yard line. First and goal for the Eastview Lightning. First down at the Eagan 2. Suggs, 6. 23-0 Lightning. Halfway through the second, they have a season-high scoring total.
Well, if there was ever a team right now in this conference that you could get well on, it unfortunately it is right now. It is the Eagan Wildcats. It's a situation where there's just too many mental mistakes, too many physical mistakes by the team. And again, I'm not saying anything that isn't completely and totally apparent by watching the game. But at the same time, these young men have an opportunity here to come out, look what they did against Farmington.
Yep, absolutely. Plenty of leg. 6:14 to go. It is now 24-0 Eastview. Ouch.
Well, it's definitely it's gut check time for the Eagan Wildcats. Can they answer the bell? I mean, they've got, look. Bottom line is this offense has got to put some points on the board, and they've got to do it before the end of the half, regardless of how many points Eastview is able to get before the end of the half. The offense has got to score some points, and that obviously missing Carter Lyons doesn't help, but they've still got Meekin, they've still got Gibson, they've got McGinley out there. Sorensen has shown the ability to throw a football. Hansen and Meekin both can catch. We need, something's got to happen, and our offensive line tonight has not been terrible. I mean, they've been solid. I wouldn't say it's their best game of the season, but they've been solid. And they look like they can move the ball right now against the Eastview Lightning. The question is, can they do it so in a way that's going to put some points on the board?
Ken Gibson trying to send me a message. I'm assuming I'm having trouble getting the connection here, but I'm assuming that he's telling me that Cole is wearing number 1 tonight. So if you get that message, text me actually. So Eagan from their 12 looking to must be their best starting position tonight. They'll get out across 30 and around the 32-yard line.
Well, that's what happens. You tend to get better returns when you catch the ball in the air before it hits the ground and rolls for 14 yards. And that time, I think it was McGinley on the return. He was able to catch that ball in the air cleanly and move it up the field. So hopefully this is a good omen for the Eagan Wildcats offensive unit, which is obviously, as you know, Mike, as you've called, and you've been here all season, we've seen them struggle.
So 6:09 to go. And yeah, those of you just tuning in, bottom of your screen, that is accurate. 24-0 down are the Cats with 6:09 to go in the second.
Well, as you said earlier, Mike, it'd be nice to see Sorensen attack that edge with the rollout a little bit, maybe throw a pass, try to get a pass to Hansen or Meekin down the field.
Sorensen is going to roll near side, try to get a block there, and he's all over that play. 36 coming up that time for the Eastview Lightning. That is indeed Sam Lewison. And the 1-yard gain there, by the way, for the Wildcats.
Well, Sorensen's got to be decisive. I mean, you saw that time, unfortunately, for Eagan, Sorensen was a little less decisive than he really needed to be. He's got to pick a hole, and he's got to crash into that hole as hard as he can. It was a designed run the whole way. He wasn't trying to pass the ball, so he needs to attack that line of scrimmage and then find the seam. As it is, he's still got a yard, but he needs to attack that seam and not be strung out.
2nd and long upcoming. This looks like a pretty base defense right here. Sorensen to throw. Look out, here's pressure. And you can pretty much guess who's been on there on every big play tonight for that Eastview defense. Yes, indeed, that is P.J. Swanson.
Well, Swanson made an excellent play. You know, it's going to be easy to blame the offensive line there, and trust me, there was pressure, but Sorensen took an extremely deep drop there, and I have to think that if his drop hadn't been quite as deep, if he had stepped up, he would have avoided a lot of that pressure. There was pressure from both sides, but again, that's when it rains, it pours, Mike.
-6 on that one. Well, and Eastview sent 2 guys on that side, and Cody Smith, he didn't have much. You can only block 1 guy.
You only block 1 guy.
I mean, Cody's a big boy.
Unless you just grab on and hold and grab them both by the jerseys and pull them down.
Yeah, and hope the officials don't see it.
That's right.
Sorensen pitch, McGinley, fumble. That ball popped again, and McGinley I think fell on it, and then it popped again. Who's got it? Jeez. Eastview with the fumble recovery. Number 15, that's Pushner. Hey, what a pop, though. See, I thought McGinley had it. Yeah, I just couldn't quite hang on. Is that Pushner that came over and kind of kicked it and beat Cody Smith to the football?
Oh, unfortunately for the Eagan Wildcats. I mean, it's now, full credit, McGinley, that's a big hit on McGinley that makes that ball come out. So, I mean, it's not like it just popped out of his hand spontaneously, but at the same time, ball security, we've seen this burn Eagan so many times this year, the lack of ball security, the lack of concentration mentally, jumping off sides, things like that.
2 fumbles tonight for the Wildcats. Ryman going for it all. Deep and that ball is going to fall to the turf. Right, the intended target. A little bit of a busted play, I thought. Again, good pressure that time by the Eagan D-line.
Well, the snap was almost over Ryman's head, and he was able to find, that screwed up, I think, the timing in the backfield. But as you pointed out, they did get to him and did force him to unload that ball very quickly. That being said, it still made it to the end zone, and a good play back there by the Eagan defensive secondary, though, because they were able to screen off that wide receiver to be able to prevent him from coming up with the ball.
2nd and 10 for the Lightning. Eastview does have 2 timeouts, if that really matters right now. Suggs, trying to think who was that had a good opportunity for the Cats. Somebody had him earlier. Might have been Meekin or Merwin, but still able to find their way ahead in the ball. Actually, they're going to say, I thought they gave him 1 on that play. They're not going to give him any, actually. So it's going to be 3rd and long for Eastview from the 30-yard line. Clock rolling, 3:44 to go before the half.
Oh, and Mike, this has, despite the score, this has not been Eastview hasn't moved the ball consistently yet on the Eagan Wildcats. They've started deep in Eagan territory on 2 out of their 3 scoring drives.
So Ryman goes to the air. Looks right, little swing pass to Suggs. Cuts, makes 2 men miss. Suggs, 21st down. LeBaire finally stops him, but that play should have never come close to a 1st down.
Absolutely not. That you can't, as you said, Mike, you called it. It makes 2 men miss. You can't. If there are 2 of you and 1 of the back, there's no way that you can let this guy slip between you. You've got to frame him up, and you've both got to make the tackle. Both guys overran it. They didn't break down, and both guys overran it. Fortunately, the Bears are able to at least prevent Eastview from scoring.
Fresh set of downs inside the red zone for another time tonight. We've got whistles, and we have a...
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 18, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
If you're Coach Kelly Sherwin for the Lightning, that's about all you could be upset about right now is some penalties. I think that's got to be 5 or 6 on the Lightning tonight.
Oh, and Musakanis, that's his second or third. That's his second or third a false start penalty. And so he's, if like you said, if there's something you're going to get mad about, definitely that's something as a coach. And that's the difference between Eastview being 4-2 versus 2-4, Mike. That's the difference between being on top of 500 or being below it.
Suggs, yeah, that's not going to work. There is, well, I shouldn't say it too fast because he still fell forward ahead. Merwin got in there. And also on that play, one guy we haven't called a whole lot lately is Will Herman, number 47. Kind of started the year as a tight end, shifted over the D-line, and really kind of stayed on that side. He kind of went both ways early. Shifted over to that D-line, and again, he's just, that whole group up front has just kind of had troubles the last few games. But
playing well tonight, though.
They are, absolutely.
They're playing well tonight. Maybe they were challenged this week in practice, and they've stepped up.
2nd and 15 for Eastview. Well, is he going to go? There's a man wide open. That's Tran. He'll get down to about the 15. That's a pickup of, looks like they're going to put him at the 16, so a pickup of 7.
Yeah, it was good defense by the Eagan Wildcats. It was a bend don't break type of situation there where they conceded a pass in a curl there to give them 7 yards, but on on 2nd down and almost 18 to concede an 7-8 yard pass is fine. This is still 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 9. There's an opportunity here. Now the defensive line's got to come up with something. Now they've got to put pressure on Ryman. Ryman's almost certainly going to be throwing this ball to the wide side where he's got 3 wide receivers.
And if you do not get the first down, I would imagine you go for the field goal from here as you're inside about 1:15 to go here in the half. Ryman across the middle. Oh, he had his man too. That was Barber. Just let him just by half a step.
Yeah, Ryman's going to want that one back. When he watches the film, he's going to definitely see that and say to himself, that's a pass I need to connect on. I need to make that happen. Again, those are the kind, for Eagan, it's a question of can we get first downs and can we score points. For Eastview, it's a question of can we be perfect? Can we eliminate these mental mistakes? And that's the tension now on the Eastview side.
Rhys Marone from 33. He got enough. Nope, just missed it to the right. 1:04 to go. Cats will have all 3 timeouts. But Eagan, their last 2 drives have ended in fumbles. It's going to try to unofficially look at how many first downs they have in this half. 1. That was on that first drive. It was 3 and out, fumble, 2 plays fumble.
Well, at some point, as a high school football player, as a senior or even a junior or senior, you have a certain level of pride that this is ridiculous, and you got to get a first down. So go out and get a first down, boys.
From the 20-yard line go the Wildcats. And bouncing their way out near. That's McGinley out to about the 25. Timeout take again by Eastview, I believe. Interesting that Eastview's taking a timeout there.
On what planet did that make any sense?
Well, the only thing I can figure is if Eagan runs it again, gets stopped, you call a timeout. You run another one, then maybe you get a 4th down, you get the ball back with 5-6 seconds left.
But if Eagan runs the ball again, gets stopped, and you call another timeout, and then they run it again, you're going to end up with maybe 15-20 seconds if there's a punt.
I'd say more even. But anyway.
So what this is, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. But you know what? Quite candidly, Mike, this is a lack of respect for the Eagan High School football team. You don't think Eagan can get a first down. You don't think Eagan's going to score. You don't think Eagan's got the ability to push you in this situation. Ordinarily, if with a good offense on the other side, you would never call a timeout in this situation.
Yeah. You saw the stands there a few seconds ago. There are a lot of Eastview fans that are here tonight. Eagan's side of the stadium, not so much. There's McGinley. And he's going to get out to about the 34-yard line. That's going to be a first down. Sticks are going to move on the 9-yard run by McGinley.
Well, Eagan either needs to call a timeout or they need to get up to the line of scrimmage. If they're going to try to move this ball, the clock is now moving. We're still just getting into our huddle, and the clock is now moving.
How many times have we questioned Eagan's time management this year?
Well, they should have been at the line of scrimmage calling a play at the line of scrimmage, Mike.
Absolutely, I agree. Does that come down to, and look out, there's a slip coming onto the ball, 35-yard line. Is that maybe you've got a fairly new signal caller in there and you don't want to overwhelm him?
It takes I
don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either. What I can tell you is, in my experience as a high school football player, as a college football player, as a high school coach, yes, there is a bit of a challenge to getting a 2-minute offense or something into place, but it's not rocket science. It can be handled. It can be done by these 17, 18-year-old men, young men. So, that being said, maybe Coach Hansen's at the point where he's saying to himself, our half is we played so poorly, we did such a horrible job and we're unlikely to go the house. We're unlikely to run the ball 60 yards in.
Right.
Let's just get out of here, get into the locker room, make some changes. Well,
it is halftime. Great first half for the home team, the Eastview Lightning, where they lead the Eagan Wildcats by a 24-0 count. We're going to take ourselves a break, and then we'll be back for second half action in a little while right here on ETV, your home for Wildcat Sports.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it.
Stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in the shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool. Ah yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon? You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Eastview High School band prides itself on offering balance music center on the side, along with more jazz bands. Solo and song. Eastview is proud to have one of the highest annual enrollments in the Minnesota High State and with 11 members, except for the Eagan High School. Since school in 97, Eastview band has traveled across the world, performing on international trips to Austria, Italy, England, Germany, Hungary, France, Spain, China, and most recently Finland. Eastview Marching Band wishes to thank the school administration, staff, and parents for their support and appreciation of the Eastview High School band. The Eastview Marching Band is proud to bring you the 2018 production titled We Work Kings. Their name, period. People from Eagan, the king is dead. Long live the king. All this summer, we will go to Highness's kennel, as he will be in this territory, the crown lives forever. His Majesty the Crown Prince will begin to embrace the reign. May the throne never be vacant. Drum majors Oliver Matt and Henry Richard. Is your band ready? You may now take the field for your halftime performance. varsity band.
Hey, we welcome you back inside Lightning Stadium, where after 24 minutes, Eastview has, 24 points. The Eagan Wildcats have 0. My name is Mike Cook. Nathan Cron is with me. And Nathan, just a very rough half for the Wildcats. Other than we mentioned it multiple times, the defensive line is playing really well tonight for the Wildcats. Offense, on the other hand, boy, they've got a lot of work to do.
As well as the defense is playing right now, the offense is playing just as poorly. You know, it's 2 first downs in an entire half is not going to cut it. I don't care if you're, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what kind of a season you're having. You're a varsity football team. You need to get first downs. And you need to find a way to do that. And if that means you run a hard dive over the right guard 4 times in a row to get a first down, you do it. You quit trying to be fancy and just attack the line of scrimmage.
Should mention for our viewers, we did get confirmation at halftime that Cole Gibson is wearing number 19 tonight for the Wildcats. Tore his jersey at some point. We're not sure if it was during warm-ups or what exactly it was. But, yes, Cole Gibson is 19 for the Wildcats. Wildcats come into this game 0-6. They travel to Lakeville North, the top-ranked Panthers, Wednesday the 17th. That's MEA weekend or whatever they call it now, Education Minnesota. Right now, after 1, Lakeville North leads Prior Lake 14-3 up at the TCO Performance Center at the Vikings Training Complex. Eastview will be at, I believe it's at Prior Lake to finish their regular season, looking to go 4-4 on the season. And then just like that, it's playoff times in 6A. Friday the 26th, it'll all begin. Obviously, the Wildcats will be somewhere. It's just a matter of which top team do they go visit in round 1. Could it be Blaine? Could it be Woodbury, Eastridge? Somebody there on the east side of St. Paul. By the way, 10-7, I believe, at Eastridge at the half in that one. So, one other score of note, Burnsville leads Rosemont 19-13 at the break. So the Blaze are really turning it on. They crushed Farmington a week ago.
I just heard Matt Kelly talking this morning, I think, in the office. I didn't know who it was. But I heard Matt say
And looking right down now at the Eastview sideline, Mike, I can see the traveling trophy. There isn't a new traveling trophy.
Yes, there is.
A traveling trophy for this rivalry between these two teams, which obviously Eastview has seemed to so far had the better end of. But it is the key to the city Half of it's in Eagan, half of it, I think it looks to me like it's on one side it's Eastview, on the other side it's Eagan.
It's a wooden key.
It's a wooden key,
and we're the kind of the head part of the key, I guess you would call it.
Sure.
Yeah, one side it's got the blue, it's got the Eastview. Other side it's got Eagan. A collaborative effort, though, between the Eastview Lightning Touchdown Club and the Eagan Football Booster Club. And I know Kelly Sherwin, Ben Hansen, the respective head coaches, they were also involved in the creation of this traveling trophy for Eagan and Eastview. And boy, right now it sure looks like it's going to hang in the be placed in the Eastview trophy case come Monday morning, but
it sure does.
Still a lot of football left to be played.
There is still a lot of football to be played. Two things. Number one, given the way the boundaries are drawn in District ISD 196, there are a fair number of Eagan players that know a fair number of Eastview players and know a number of kids at each high school. Far more crossover and far more of these kids are going to middle school together and things before they get split up. And so, versus, Rosemount or Apple Valley, there's just much more much more commonality, much more knowledge of each other. So it makes the rivalry and it makes the play even more spirited. Now, I will say this, again, I did actually have two great grandmothers both named Pollyanna. That's not a lie. I had two great grandmothers named Pollyanna. To be the most Pollyanna I can be, this is a situation where Eagan can still climb back into this game. Remember, Farmington again at TCO, we're down by 33-7 at halftime. We come out in the half and we turn things around and we make something happen. Yep. Now, we don't have Carter Lyons probably for the rest of the game, maybe the rest of the season. We don't know what his status is going to be. As many knocks as he's taken enough. But the bottom line is that if he can come out with a second half kickoff and do something positive, the momentum might start to turn.
Absolutely. And so as they get a little Hell's Bells cranked up here on the sound system in Lightning Stadium, crank up a little AC/DC, and we said start of the game, we've said a great night for football, and there was a chance of lightning, and sure enough, Eastview has done that tonight. They are up by a 24-0 count as we get set for the second half kickoff. Back deep for the Cats, McGinley and Hansen. This should be, I believe, McGinley. We've got flags back up near midfield. I don't think much of the clock was.
No, the Eastview coverage team was well offsides, Mike. By not just by like a step, they were offsides by at least a yard and a half, and that's going to make them move back 5 yards and try this one again.
So Coach Ben Hansen and the Eagan Wildcats looking to get something going.
Prior to the kick, offside, kicking team, 5-yard penalty. We'll re-kick.
And as we said in that late in the first half, Kelly Sherwin, for the Eastview coach, that's about the only thing he's got to be displeased about tonight. Well, but I would think.
I agree with you, Mike. But I have to say, if you're an Eastview coach or an Eastview player, you have to say to yourself, that's the difference, guys, between being 2-4 and 4-2, right? I mean, it really is. It's those little mistakes. Good football teams don't make mistakes like that.
So we'll try once again this time. Now that one's everybody's much better, and that'll be fielded back at about the 13-yard line by Hansen. And he gets maybe 10 on that return. Number of Eastview Lightning players in on that stop. And that's where the Cats will kick things off here in the third quarter on ETV, your home for Wildcat Sports.
There's good coverage by Eastview getting down the field very quickly to make sure that Hansen didn't have an opportunity. Now, Hansen's done that twice in this game. He has gone to the far side or attempted to get to the far side of the field. Now, I'm curious, if what I couldn't pick out is whether he's trying to do that. Oh, forgive me.
45 on the return team. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal. First down, Eagan.
Vinny LeBaire, the guilty party for the Wildcats, has disgust, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
You probably heard I kind of uttered something there, but
yeah,
and it was just even back at the 12 to start.
More mental mistakes, more loss of tool.
Sorensen with a pitch. Here's McGinley. Gets out to about the 14-yard line. Actually, yeah, it was McGinley, indeed it was. I saw Meekin coming back there as well, but 2 yards on that time for Eagan. Kind of thinning out here in the on the Eastview home side in the parent section, but
the band is gone.
The band is gone.
And so
we mentioned we didn't show it, but that's a heck of a performance by the Eastview band.
Yeah, according to the who's who and the announcer, apparently they're all performing tomorrow down at the U.S. Bank Stadium for some sort of competition. So good luck to them because they were fantastic at halftime.
When you go about 3 miles east of here as the crow flies, and Rosemount's pretty good too with that band they've got. Straight ahead, McGinley out to the 17, maybe a couple. Looking at 3rd and 6. Also kind of cool at halftime, you had the Eastview dance team out there, and they must have had a clinic here recently, but they had a lot of, I'd say elementary school age kids out there, and the announcer was calling, the future of Eastview dance. And
class of 2034, I think he said. Yeah, so that's definitely the future.
Yep, and you could just see the smiles, and there are a lot of parents up here in the stands that had their cell phones going, and and that's just really cool to see, get the community involvement. And I know Eastview does a very good job of getting the Apple Valley businesses involved with their program, and obviously Eagan has done a very good job over the years as well of keeping people part of the program. And obviously they changed the Friday night lights a little bit at Wildcat Country this year, but still got some people on. And here comes Meekin, and it'll be punt time for the Wildcats. Cody Smith tried to lead the way, but there were 3 black-shirted Eastview Lightning defenders in there, including number 33, who we haven't called for a while. That's Jack Vandenberg. And it's going to be 3rd and, about 3 for the Wildcats right now. So 2 yards on that play.
The punt team is certainly on the field, and we'll see if they can get this punt off clean.
Better snap. Low liner. And it just kind of dies at about the 37, maybe the 38-yard line. Eastview, outstanding field position once again. And looks like the starters are back on the field for the Lightning. So you would think, if they go down and get 6 here, that might be it, I would think, tonight for the Eastview starters.
Well, it certainly could, although, this Eastview offense, as we said, Mike, earlier, and as I've said, maybe 3-4 times already in the broadcast, they're not prolific. They haven't scored a lot of points this year. They haven't sustained a lot of drives. They had one big play on their long drive, and the other 2 drives all started inside the Eagan 20.
That's a good point.
That's not the greatest show on turf.
Don't even ask these coaches about turf this week. Get started here in a second after this play. So you're looking to throw. They've got 4 receivers here on first down. Ryman's going to go over and just behind his intended target, Tran. Coach Ansefree, I saw him before the game like we usually do, and I'm like, hey, how's this week going? He just kind of shook his head and discussed, and I'm like, oh, really? And he says, yeah, the field was just, it's a mud bath, basically. And so Wednesday, I guess they had to go down to, it was Shakopee to practice, because Shakopee's got turf. They play at Lakeville North next week, so I believe it's Tuesday they're going to be up at the Dome in West St. Paul for practice. You were telling me that, was it the freshman played the other day, and that field was just a mud pit?
Yeah, it was like playing on a waterbed.
And there goes Suggs. Did I say there goes Suggs? I believe I did. And there he goes to the house. That's 38 yards. Touchdown Eastview.
Well, that's one thing. The Eastview offense, while it hasn't been consistent in terms of being able to move the ball, it has had tonight, and apparently has the ability to have big plays. And quite frankly, no one touches him until what is that? McGinley at the very end is able to get some hands on him, but Suggs should not be able to run 38 yards through our defense without somebody putting hands on him. I mean, that's just, it can't happen. No. And that's either we're not getting off our blocks, or we're not taking good angles, or we're not wrapping up. I mean, there's like 5 different things that it could be, but all of them signal a problem.
PAT attempt here by Eastview, Michon. Lots of leg, and it is good by number 44, Reese Moran. Check that. The big 6-foot linebacker doubles as the place kicker for Eastview. I just thought of this, and I don't know if I even dare want to say it, but Eagan has allowed 73 straight points. Between the 31 here, they lost 35-0 last week, and Farmington got the final 7 the week before that.
It's not a good trend, Mike.
No,
it's not a good trend, and it's not acquitting yourself well if you're wearing white and silver tonight. Because the bottom line is, look, these young men have pride. They do care about their football team. They care about their teammates. They care about their moms and their dads sitting up there in the stands on a cool night. They need to bring it. They need to do something here, and I'm not sure what what it is they have to do, but they got to do something. They need to do something that's going to make them want to play this, keep playing this game, and keep their parents wanting to keep watching them.
And the group I really feel bad for, and is the seniors.
Yeah.
You know, they've the last, well, I mean, 2 seasons ago, you had the whole, you know, Ricky Foggy might be the coach. Ben comes in and like June gets handed the keys to the program, which, you know, that's no time to get anything set up. So admittedly, okay, that you got, you know, that's a lost season, pretty much was. Last year you go 1-8, got a little better. This year, I don't know if there's been a lot of improvement, and I feel bad for the seniors that they're going to have a potential varsity career where, you know, low single digits for wins. So Eagan's going to take over on their own 25-yard line.
At this point, Mike, it would be interesting to see, you know, like whatever has worked for Eagan this year, you know, and even in this game, it's not working right now. They're not getting first downs. I'd like to see Sorensen just start chucking that ball.
Like that?
Yep.
And that goes just off the hands. I believe it's Hansen on the far side, and indeed it is.
Well, Hansen's got to catch that football. I mean, and he knows it. But Sorensen delivered the ball. It was a little high, but Hansen's got to catch that ball. He catches that ball in stride, and all of a sudden he's got a first down. You know, and that's, again, that's how many times against Farmington 2 weeks ago did we see a receiver, you know, catch, you know, the ball hits the receiver in the hands or in the chest, and we drop it. You just can't have it. It can't happen. I mean, these players have got to step up and make a play here.
Entering tonight, Eagan's passing game completion percentage 32.4, averaging just under 28 yards a game for passing. And in the South Suburban Conference Subdistrict, whatever they call it now thing, that's just not going to fly. You got to have some kind of a balanced attack. Nice run there by Sorensen to get the first down. Great effort there by the sophomore.
Great effort by the sophomore, as you said, Mike. A great run by Sorensen, tucking the ball down and going, and absolutely laying the lumber to at least one Eastview defender. See it here coming up on your screen. Watch this play right here. Whack! 23. That's Derek Roush, the senior defensive back. I think he assumed the quarterback was going to go down. Maybe he was going to slide. Maybe something was going to happen. But in that case, Sorensen lowered his shoulder and absolutely dropped him into the turf and went forward for. You know, that's an Eagan first down, Mike.
Trying to see who that is that's injured out there. It is a Wildcat. Is that? Can't quite get the number, but boy, when they're reaching for that left knee like that, that's not a good sign. Again, Diana Bachman, the Eagan trainer. The last thing Eagan needs is another injury.
Well, I don't think it was Sorensen, because I saw Sorensen get up off the bottom of that tackle. So I think he was up.
I thought I saw a number, but I don't want to speculate here till we know for sure.
Sure. And again, this is, you know, obviously no one ever wants to get hurt, and no one wants to be down on the turf. But this is the kind of thing that.
Yeah, 16.
This is the kind of thing This is the kind of thing that slows things down from an Eagan standpoint. You've got Eagan with a lot of momentum, and all of a sudden, you know, they have a bad injury, and it must be bad enough that they're taking Thompson off, carrying him off, and hopefully you just hope that it's a sprain, it's a nasty looking sprain or something, and not anything serious.
Yeah, he's Jack Thompson. He's a junior wideout for the Wildcats. You know, I think we've called him a couple times on special teams throughout the year. But, you know, maybe that's one of those kids that they put in there, hey, here's a chance to show something.
That's right.
Opportunity to do something. And unfortunately for him, it sure looks, does not look good there with that left knee. First and 10 for the Cats, straight ahead. Got to be Gibson. I would think he gets out 5, maybe 6. Let's see who comes up off the bottom. The pile is indeed Gibson. As we said, he's wearing number 19 tonight. Had apparently a little jersey malfunction with a tear at some point.
The wardrobe malfunction at a football game. Who knew, Mike?
There you go. By the way, Taylor Elder that time in the center. Nice job of blocking downfield. Big 69.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
You're a former O-line. You know how much love you guys get from everybody.
Well, you don't get a whole lot when you do great, and when you screw up, you definitely hear about it. But that was a great surge by the offensive line.
2nd and 4 for the Cats, straight ahead. And let's make that about 3rd and 2. Thrown down hard to the ground that time is. Wow. Another new ball carrier for the Wildcats.
It's an interesting spot. They gave him a nice spot, and they gave him a first down.
Wow, Gabriel Favre that time, number 35. Good 4 on that play. I'd have to check. I don't know if that might be Favre's first run of the year.
I don't remember. You know, Mike, I've been doing these games with you all season. I don't remember you calling his name before.
That's because we haven't, as I look at the unofficially look at the stats page. By the way, in terms of Thompson, does not have a reception this year either for the Wildcats, so let's hope he gets a chance to get one yet. Here's Sorensen rolling, throwing, and it is caught on the far side. Another Wildcat first down. Is that Oland over there? Oh, wait a minute, though. Yeah, okay.
We're going to have an illegal man downfield, or we're going to have a hold probably in the offensive line here.
And here's our announcement.
Offense number 69. 5-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
You know, we just complimented the Eagan Center.
Well, obviously, you know, we can't let it go to your head. But watch as we move down the field. 69's got to stay within. Yep, he's well down the field. It's hard to see there, but he was well down the field. That's a tough call to make. Now, one key here is that if you are going to go downfield as an offensive lineman, here's a tip for you. Be blocking someone. You can't be, the rule actually is, you cannot be a legal man downfield if you're blocking someone. If you're drive blocking a guy, you can be 80 yards downfield, and you're still fine.
So first and 15 upcoming for the Eagan Wildcats. And we've got a false start there in the backfield. Favre, I believe, is going to get whistled. Cats are going to go back 5 more.
False start. Offense number 35. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, 1 step forward, 2 steps back on this drive for the Wildcats. By the way, I should mention that was on that pass play, it was Max Robinson, the intended target. First time Max has, I believe, even been thrown to this year, number 38.
Well, he's 1 for 1. 1 target, 1 catch. Now it got wiped out because of penalty, Mike, but I mean, maybe that's the ray of sunshine here, that we got a guy who can catch a ball.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's what we take away from this game.
Well, and I think Sorensen got some time, too, though.
Yes.
Which earlier in the year was not something that the Ethan Gugino, Jonah Evans got. Here's McGinley with an opportunity. And he's going to get the sticks to move as he gets out near gets back, I take that back, about 12. He gets out to the 49. And we've got some late whistles. A little extracurricular on the far side.
Well, I don't see the Eagan sideline reacting well to this, so I'm sure hoping that it's not against Eagan.
And keeping the eyes on the official. Although the football's moving the Eastview way.
After the play was over.
Late hit on the foul. Defense number 23. The personal foul. First down.
It was a nice play to the outside, and we, it was hard to see on the far sideline, Mike, that the personal foul penalty, and maybe we'll see if we can catch it here. So McGinley's down. Wow, I don't know about that one.
That's pretty ticky-tack.
I don't think McGinley was out of bounds there.
He was still fighting.
He was still fighting, and he could have escaped. That might have been a soft call.
Yeah, I agree. McGinley once again tries to turn the corner, gets up. Little gain there that time. Nice job coming up from the secondary position for Eastview's Pushner. Or Pushner, I say. I stand corrected. How do you say that correctly? Gets 1 that time.
I don't want to call. I know it's hard calling out guys that aren't blocking hard enough, but I need a little more out of Max Robinson there. Max has got to block a little harder at 38 for Eagan. He's got to give me a little more of a seam to let McGinley try to get to the outside. I think what happened there was he had 2 guys to block, and he wasn't sure which one he was going to block. And by the time McGinley got to him, he ended up blocking neither of them. And so just be decisive, make a hit, and let McGinley make his cut from that.
Halfway through the third quarter, 31-0 Eastview. We've got only 7 of this quarter. Sorensen looking out, he's in trouble, and he's dropped. Nice job on the open field tackle by Eastview's Mikey Camano. It's about a 10-yard loss.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and it shows you that there's a reason that sophomores are not seniors with respect to decision making and things like that. Sorensen did the best he could, but if he tucks that ball down and runs with it and says, you know what, I'm not going to have a chance to step my feet and throw the pass, I think he's fast enough to beat the defender to the edge. Maybe he's not, but I think he has a better chance of doing that than trying to set his feet and make an otherworldly play down the field.
About an 8-yard loss. They're going to put that ball at about the 43. I kind of got a kick out of the whoever's doing the sound here, Lightning Stadium. Oh, Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's the way I like it. Okay. 3rd and 17 for the Cats. We've got flags, and I believe it's going to be 3rd and 12 for the Wildcats.
Well, the field, that time the field came up and bit the Lightning in the behind. So that time a blitzer was coming from the defensive secondary.
Offside. Defense number 36. 5-yard penalty. It remains. Third down.
So Lewison was coming up the blitz, lost his footing, slid into the neutral zone. Check this out. Whoops. Sliding into the neutral zone. He might as well have set up a tea party there because he wasn't going to get out anytime soon.
I like that. A tea party there. That's nice. Sorensen, good pressure behind him. Look out, strip sack. Cats do hang on. Do we even have to say who came from the outside on that? Number 26, DJ Swanson.
Well, if you're not
McGinley jumped on it.
Well, thank goodness he did, but, quite candidly, if you're not going to block somebody, you better let your quarterback know, because that had the danger of not only being a strip sack, could have been 6 the other way. Watch from the top of the screen. Somebody's got to jump out and get that ball.
Understand correctly?
Make that block.
That was big. Cody Smith actually that jumped on the ball.
And we have another snap over the head.
And now they fumble. Look out, to the house. Touchdown Lightning. 37-0. Fumble return of, 34, 30 yards.
Well, I think this
Derek Rosh.
In fact, I don't think there's going to be a touchdown here. I think we're going to have a penalty on Eastview. We're on sportsmanlike conduct during the play, so I think they're going to wipe the touchdown away and give Eastview possession at about the 20 or 25-yard line.
You saw the replay. I don't know if we can get it one more time there, but are they going to?
During the return, block in the back. Defense number 5. A penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down, Eastview.
So it's not a personal foul penalty. The flag came in very, very late, Mike, so I thought it might be a taunting penalty or some sort of other penalty. But this is, we're at the point where I don't know why Eagan would punt the rest of the year. Seriously.
We're in week 7. How many bat snaps has Eagan had this year?
At least 10.
Yeah,
at least 10. But like I said, I'd rather them go from the pistol, snap the ball from the pistol, or take the ball under center, turn around and give it a pitch to a deep back and have him kick the ball. We'd be better off at this point. It's just not happening right now.
No. First and 10 from the 20. Suggs. He's going to get almost the first down on nice shiftiness there along the near sideline by number 37 for the Eastview Lightning.
Well, I want to give Isaac Hofstad a little bit of credit here. If you watch here on your screen, I'm not sure if we'll see a replay, but on the near side, Hofstad did a great job. Watch Hofstad here take on the block, make an attempt there to make the play, and at least Suggs is slowed up. He gets pinned to the inside, but Hofstad, if Hofstad doesn't make that effort, Suggs scores.
And that's a sign of a player that, he hasn't given up.
No, absolutely not. Isaac Hofstad is playing to the whistle. He's going to give you everything he's got.
And I'm not saying that they've given up.
Oh, yeah.
But there's, the old still giving 110% cliche kind of thing. Miscommunication there. And, downhill. Kind of slides back to about the line of scrimmage on you would definitely call that a broken play as Ryman ends up with a rush for 0 yards.
Well, and if you're an Eagan fan or if you're an Eagan supporter, a coach, a player, this is what makes you even more frustrated. This Eastview, the Eastview offense, again, is going to start inside your 25-yard line. It's a high school offense. They're going to score points when you let them do that. You can't let them do it.
All right. 3rd and 1. Yeah, why not run it here? Straight ahead. It's down to the 10. I believe it's going to be enough for a first down. It's going to be close. Number 8 is the ball carrier, Zach Miller, his first carry of the game. And the sticks are going down.
Yep, the sticks did come down. It is a first down just inside the 10-yard line for Eastview. They'll have 4 plays to try to punch it in and put this game on ice.
2:40 to go in the third. In motion goes Tran. Handoff. Miller to about the 7.
What a play by Heinlein. What a play by Brett Heinlein. Running him down, that back down from behind, grabbing on and bulldogging him to the ground. That's a heck of a defensive play. And for a defensive line that has been well maligned, and I think to some degree justifiably so this year for lack of pressure, they're playing some good football tonight.
Second and goal from about the, I guess I'm going to say the 8. Suggs gets about half of that. He loses his helmet in the process, and we've got a late flight coming in. Let's see what this is going to be all about. Came from the referee on the near, or the official on the near side. So I assume it's something within the scrum. Is it going to be a face mask? I mean, like I said, that helmet went rolling off of Suggs. Lengthy this guy. Yeah, it's definitely against the Cats. They moved the ball about half the distance.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defensive 45. That penalty will be enforced after the goal from the it remains second down.
Second down at the Eagan 3. Vinny LeBear, the guilty party. Well, with 1:45 to go here in the third, if Eastview could punch this one in, we'll be looking at running time in the fourth. If they're up by 35 or more. Fake the Suggs, throw it across the middle, wide open. That was too easy. Touchdown, Mahacic. 3 yards on the reception. 37-0. I want to say, is that rubbing it in? I mean, you're throwing from the 3. I mean, I get you you're struggling on offense. You want to get something going. I don't know. I'm not going to say it is.
Well, we'll find out shortly. Because I suspect that that's not the last time that Eastview is going to have the ball on offense. So I think we're going to see now. I'll be surprised if we see a lot of the Eastview starters now here going forward. But look, I mean, the bottom line is Eagan gives the ball away again on a bad punt snap, deep in their own territory. Turns into a touchdown for Eastview. These are mistakes that are made by football teams that they can't. Once you make it once, you can't make it 5 or 6 or 8 times. You just can't do it. And here's the thing: if we're struggling with things like a punt snap, we have to come up with another solution. We just have to come up with another solution. If that means we run a quick kick out of the pistol, or we take a snap and we pitch it. We do a toss, a kind of a long toss back. And we have offensive linemen out there covering a punt. So what? I mean, at this point, hell, punt on third down. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, if it's third and long, punt that football. I mean, just do something different here, because clearly that wasn't working. Now, again, that's not to say we don't know from the booth up here whether the kids are coached to do something particular, whether there might be reasons they've sent kids out. Kids still have to execute.
Absolutely,
they still have to execute, and this doesn't let the players off at all, because they still need to be able to execute the plan that the game plan the coaches put together. But at the same time, if we're having trouble long snapping, we've got to make some sort of change.
Eagan's going to start from their own 29 this time. Look down at the Eastview sideline. It looks like number 14, Zach Selkow, their backup quarterback, is getting warm. So 1:25 to go in the third. Here on ETV, your home for Wildcats sports. So Eagan from their own 30. Straight ahead. Fumble, I think. Oh, jeez. There's a flag. Wow. Let's take a look at this one on replay. turnover number 4 tonight for the Wildcats.
The back never had the ball. The first back through never had the ball. That ball was handed off to his ribs, not his hands, and the ball slid off to the side. And again, Eastview's going to start on the Wildcat 34-yard line, 1st and 10. They're going to have an opportunity to give their second team some reps. But again, if you're Eagan, how many times are you going to let this happen? How many times are you going to let the other team take advantage of a mistake that you've made like this and just walk in?
Well, there's only 2 games left in the season, most likely for the Wildcats. So, yeah, the time to fix this stuff is obviously limited. Because let's face it, they go to Lakeville North on a short week on Wednesday the 17th. Lakeville North, last we heard, was up 14-3 on Prior Lake at the TCO Performance Center. So potentially Lakeville North can come into that game at 7-0. And then you're going to go in the playoffs. You're going somewhere that you're going to face somebody that's either undefeated or a one-loss team.
Yep.
0 run that time, by the way, for Eastview. And a bad snap there for the Lightning. And let's see, can the Cats get this one?
I think they did. I think Highland's all over it.
Too, and they do indeed have it. And you are the man. Highland with the recovery. Good call.
Look at Highland just absolutely enveloped this football. Yeah. He is saying to himself, I've been out here busting my rear end, my teammates, my defensive line mates, and myself. We've been out here all night busting our butts, working hard, having a good football game, having a solid football game, and I'm going to get this fumble. And that was great camera work by our camera crew to be able to pick that up and to see that and to give us that great look.
The Pitt got a little something to cheer about, a whiteout tonight in Eastview, and I'd say about half of them are still here. They'll be making the trek down to Lakeville North on the 17th. And I'm sure I looked down at the Eastview, they're having a jersey out, and I'd say 3/4 of their student section is still here. And a very minimal game there as the clock ticks down here in the 3rd quarter, inside 30 seconds to go.
Well, Mike, I'm not sure if it's coming through on the telecast, but take a look at how Sorensen's handing this ball to the running backs. He's not extending his arm; it's a short arm, and it's almost a slap the ball rather than handing them the ball. I'd like to see, and I don't know if this is movement, in terms of how you position the player, how you position the running back, but I'd love to see Sorensen with a more extended arm, handing the ball rather than kind of tossing the ball or shot putting the ball or shoving the ball at the running back. Because I think that what that can sometimes do is make it easier for you to hand off the ball.
Well, let's see if they do in the 4th quarter. We're going to take ourselves a quick break here on ETV, your home for Wildcat Sports.
Good gracious.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool. Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Back inside Lightning Stadium, where it's 38-0 Eastview after 3 quarters as we get set for 4th quarter action here on ETV, as they've got some Sweet Caroline cranking out in the background, and the Eastview student section, they're loving this song. God, I hate this song, I'm going to admit it. They way overplayed it, arenas. And you can also get rid of Don't Stop Believin'. I'm a Journey fan, but I'm tired of that song.
Well,
hey, by the way, let's talk about a few more positive things in Wildcat country. Postseason action has begun around the sports world. Unfortunately, boys soccer got beat 1-0 by Eastview last night. So Eastview is going to play St. Paul Central 7:30 Tuesday at Burnsville for the section final. Prior to that game at 5 o'clock, the Eagan girls are going to play Rosemount. Eagan beat Burnsville 5-0 last night, still undefeated on the season. And they're going to, Rosemount beat Eastview 1-0 in overtime last night. Heck of a tennis match yesterday from what I hear. Eagan beat Woodbury 4-3 in the section final. Deciding match took 3.5 hours. Eagan got it.
That's incredible. That's absolutely
incredible.
incredible.
Langley wins the 3rd set in a 3.5 hour match I saw on Twitter. And, of course, volleyball, a very powerful Eagan team. They beat Rosemount, Eastview beat Apple Valley. Those were both sweeps last night. And the playoffs for volleyball will start October the 23rd. Cross country had their big conference meet today up at Eagan. Have not heard the results for either the boys or the girls in that one. And I know swimming is having a really good season as well for the Wildcats. Swimming and diving, I should say. So the Cats go 5 yards the wrong way as Neil Diamond continues to be cranked out.
We appear to be in Neil Diamond hell, and Beelzebub is circling. So ultimately, as well as the Eastview Lightning have played tonight with some big help from the Eagan offense, and punt team. I have to say the Eastview parents and fans over here are virtually without rhythm. I don't see a lot of talent down there. I'm wondering where these players are getting it from, because I'm not seeing a lot of great dancing talent down there.
And you and I aren't even going to try.
Oh no, we know our limitations.
Sorensen, there's a completion inside the Eastview 45-yard line. That ball is caught over there by Max Meekin, number 12. It's going to be looks like about a 15-yard pickup that time for the Wildcats.
Eagan was lucky that time. They were lucky that they didn't get called for a false start. There was a little twitch by the outside receiver at the bottom of the screen that you can't see here on the telecast, but Sorensen did a nice job dropping back and unloading this football. Meekin did a nice job of coming up to the ball and getting it. The ball hung in the air a little while. It was a wheel route where Meekin came out of the backfield around the corner, and the outside receiver ran him off. But again, good play by Meekin to catch that ball and make sure he got it.
10 minutes to go in, dare we say, regulation. Eastview up 38-0, by the way.
Yeah, you could dare to say it all you want.
Yes.
I think I'd be surprised if we're playing anything but regulation tonight.
Yeah, Dylan McGuire at time 4 yards for the Cats. Hey, I want to give a special hello to out there. As we said, we are on the World Wide Web tonight. Got a request to say hello to Debbie and Jack Gannick. They're watching us in Kentucky tonight. Debbie's the grandma of kicker Nathan Willis, who, as we said, unfortunately is not here tonight, battling the stomach flu. But, hey, thanks for checking us out from the Bluegrass State. Glad you're with us on ETV.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're still with us. Appreciate you staying with us throughout the year, though. You and everybody else that has watched us throughout the season. Unfortunately, it's been a rough year for the Wildcats. Still one more regular season game to go, and that's going to be at Lakeville North. We said on the 17th. It's the Wednesday of what's commonly known as MEA weekend, and I don't know if that's what they still call it, but the teachers union has their few folks get together at the River Center, and 95% of the teachers go away for a couple days.
Well, that time Hofstad had an opportunity to bust it out to the outside. I couldn't tell if it was McGinley or who was lead blocking, but if he had cut it up, I think he would have had an opportunity. Instead, he tried to bounce it to the outside and ran into a wall of Eastview Lightning.
3rd and 7 for the Cats, 8.5 to go. Sorensen, look out. This one could go a long ways, and we've got a late flag. Intercepted that time by number 42, Evan Thompson, here on senior night. He's a senior linebacker for the Eastview Lightning. Great opportunity for that young man on senior night with the pick. And there's a flag on the play, but it's during the run back. Evan Thompson, one of those kids, like so many others, he's not a starter, but you know what? Out there busting their tail in practice, doing everything they can to be better and just to be part of a team and make them a better person. Got to feel happy for that kid. If you're Eagan, you got to feel bad for Sorensen.
Well, interesting. Sorensen did make the tackle, so I'm going to give him partial credit on that one. He threw it into coverage. It was a play he probably shouldn't have thrown, but ultimately, I'll be interested to see what's going on here. We have two penalty flags on the field. It'll be interesting to see if there are two fouls or if there's only one foul.
During the return, there were two fouls, one on each team. Illegal block in the back. Eagan, number 84, will be declined. Personal foul, low on the defense number 24 will be enforced 10 yards penalty. First down, Eastview.
So Hansen, the penalty for Eagan. I think he said 24, which would be Dylan Fredrickson for Eastview.
That's a very curious situation. If there are fouls on both teams, how is one declined and one? Oh, I think what they're going to say here is that if they don't accept the penalty, if they don't decline the penalty from Eagan, then they don't get the ball. I think that would be the issue, and I think they'd rather have the ball back 15 yards than give Eagan another down.
Yeah.
The ball back there. Right, so I think that's, for a minute, I'm slow, but I had to get there eventually.
So hey, good play there. That's Heinlein coming through. Well, he's made a couple of big stops here late for the Wildcats.
Well, if the Eastview Lightning aren't careful, Heinlein's going to I'm not sure about, again, let's look at
that was Miller, by the way.
Zach Miller, 5'8", 155. Heinlein swallowed him up there and crushed him to the turf. And if you're not going to block Heinlein, he is going to make your life difficult. So, especially with the game he's having, and I think the referee's telling him, hey, take it easy, make sure you're not taking anybody down after the whistle here.
Exactly. Eastview going to throw it near side, and that ball is caught. Oh. Nice job by the Eastview receiver, number 27 in there is Brian Zurich. Good coverage there by the Wildcat D-back. And he's just hung on to it.
Zurich made a heck of a play there, Mike. You're absolutely right. The cover was wonderful by Eagan. In fact, arguably, that could have been 6. I mean, it could have been a pick 6 the other way.
Actually, all that for a gain of 1.
Well, it was a very impressive gain of 1.
It was. Wallach was among those in on the stop for the Eagan Wildcats, by the way. Yeah, we'll throw once again. Little swing pass near side. There's Miller. Gets past Wallach and taken out of bounds down at about the 42-yard, and a late hit on the Wildcats. Gallows with the initial hit, but he's not the one that's going to get flagged. Let's wait for the official call, but I think I know who it is. Just a dumb play.
The ball's well out of bounds. The player's, well out of bounds. It's clear the play's over. I understand you run all that way and you want to do something when you get there, but you got to be smart. You got to be intelligent. And if anything, you got to be, you just have to be smarter as a player.
That was Jake Wolf Matthews, by the way, junior D-back, guilty party. And, I got to admit, I don't know if we've called Jake's name at all this year. Not the first time you want us to have your name called.
No, I don't recall calling his name earlier this year. You're right, and that's not that's an inauspicious debut if you want to call it that.
And you're trying in a situation like this. You're trying to show your coaches something, and if you're a junior, you got to be looking ahead to 2019. Maybe I'm going to be a starter next year. You got to be smart about things.
Got to make good decisions.
Halfway through this fourth quarter. You see, we're going to hand it off Miller. And down to about the 11. Let's see coming off the pile there for the Wildcats. Looks like a couple of... There's Wolf Matthews that time. A much better play there if you're going to get called. He was there along with Jaden Williams. First and goal, they're going to say at the 10-yard line. Miller Heinlein couldn't quite hang on, but he got some help from some of the other guys. It's down to about the 6 still. Let's see who came in there for the Wildcats. It looked like number 23 came in from the secondary. That's Adam Bartle. Kieran Gamboni also in there, number 22 for the Wildcats. 5 minutes to go in this one. Cats are going to fall to 0-7 on this season. This will be their 12th straight loss overall. New quarterback, by the way, for Eastview as Miller gets into the end zone. 6-yard run for Miller. 40-0 Eastview.
Well, this is incredibly demoralizing for the Eagan defense, especially for a defense that this tonight has played. You're going to say to me, how do you play well at 44 points? Well, when the other team's starting inside your own 23 of the 3 times or 4 times, that kind of thing is going to happen. And so, for a defense like this to get scored on like this by Eastview's second team is like I said, it's demoralizing.
Yep.
It really, to use a term that I don't think kids use anymore, it sucks.
It pretty much does. Kick, PAT. Did he hook that one inside the upright? He did. 45-0 Eastview. Oh, we're running out of stuff to say here. Well, I want to see. Let's see if Eagan can go down, at least put some points on the board. 45-6, 45-7 looks so much better than that goose egg up there for the second straight week.
Yeah, it does. It does. And part of it's going to depend, candidly, Mike, it's going to depend on whether we get a big return here. Because I think if we have to drive 80 yards, I don't think we're going to have time. I'm not saying we can't drive 80 yards, but I'm saying we're not going to have time.
I don't think hang on to the football that long, right? The way this game is going, and it's been
and we're not showing a propensity to be able to run a 2-minute offense either of any kind. Now again, I understand that there are limitations and things like that, but if we can't run a 2-minute offense, with 4:42 in running time, we're not going to have time unless we get a big return.
Yep.
We need to get this return out around the 40, at least the 40 around midfield.
And McGinley's had some decent returns tonight. He's got Hansen back there with him.
He has.
And the last one got out to, the 30?
Yep. These blockers have got to grab a guy, stay on the block. I mean, commit a holding foul if you have to just see what you can do.
And that one's going to, scoop off Hansen. He'll pick it up. And short of the 20-yard line.
The ball has got to be fielded in the air. There's just no way you can let balls get dropped.
Pushing, shoving out there. Well, I think we can safely say that the key to the city trophy, the inaugural clash between Eagan and Eastview, that fine-looking trophy is going to go to Eastview.
Yeah, well, they've played better tonight. They've scored more. Well, okay, let's start with the easy ones. They've scored more points, which is always a good tip. They've played better. They've played more consistently. They've taken advantage of the opportunities that they've been given, and they haven't made as many mistakes. They've made some mistakes. To be clear, they've made some mistakes, but they haven't made nearly as many mistakes as Eagan has all night long.
And you know what? We got to give credit to Todd Frost. I was told he's one of the coaches for Eastview. I was told he was the linebackers coach. But he's the one that crafted this trophy. So, Todd Frost for Eastview, the key to the city trophy creator. And no, I don't think I can say that again fast.
I wasn't going to ask you.
Thank you.
I was scared you were going to ask me if I could.
Jonah Evans in at quarterback right now for the Wildcats. Gibson behind him, along with number 25, Michael Murphy. Murphy, the fullback, 25. This will be Gibson. There's an opportunity for Cole. Cole Gibson out across the 40. That's a 21-yard pickup for Cole Gibson. Something positive.
It is something positive. It was a nice play by Gibson over the right side. You saw a decent block there, that sprung him, and you saw him, with a miss. If the way our season's gone, of course he's going to make that tackle, right? I mean, if there's any other situation, any other game, any other situation, any other season, he might miss that tackle and Gibson goes to the house, right?
Absolutely.
But of course he makes the tackle.
Of course. 2.5 to go in this one. Jonah Evans, look out. Looked like he was going to try and do a jump pass there at one point, and wisely tucked that one under. Good pressure that time by the Eastview Lightning.
It's a little unclear.
Eastview thinks they've got the football. They do end up with it, but not going to keep it.
Yeah, forward progress was stopped, although forward progress was as much aerial as it was on the ground. As you take a look at the Eastview cheerleaders who are here, and as you say, they've got still a good student section here dancing around and horsing around, and that's easy to do, and you're ahead 45-0.
Plenty of opportunity for them, for those ladies tonight. And I'll tell you what, for Eastview, they're going to improve to 3-4. They go to Prior Lake next week. If they can knock off the Lakers, get up to 4-4, there's a chance they could have a home playoff game in the first round. Kelly Sherwin seems to think that they and Prior Lake are going to be right around that 3-4-5 area when it comes to seeding in 6A. So, is this the last home game of the year for the Lightning? Maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see. Although I will tell you this, if they want to, I'll say this about about the Eastview Lightning, if they want to compete with Prior Lake, they need to do a better job of moving football consistently. And I think Prior Lake presents a much different challenge for their defense than the Eagan Wildcats do. So, they're going to have to bring it next week against that Prior Lake team.
Absolutely. Under a minute to go in this one. Let's see if the Cats can bust a long one. Evans going to throw it. And far side completion. Is that Meekin on the far side?
Yep,
It's number 32 for the Eagan Wildcats. First catch of the year for Logan Lambert, the junior wideout.
Nice play by Lambert. Nice catch of the ball. Good job holding on to it.
Yeah, they're definitely they're still fired up here on these two sides. Now we got some parents below us trying to show some rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying.
Irish defense. Thompson with a fumble recovery. Green touchdown on 26-25 Irish late against Burnsville. Yeah, this is a nice gesture here by the Eastview fans. The Let's Thank You Seniors chant. And Egan's going to have one more opportunity. Well, actually, no, because we're in running time. So that's going to do it. The Eastview Seniors are going to leave their final home game by winning the Key to the City trophy with a 45-0 beatdown, dare we say, of the Eagan Wildcats. The teams are going to shake hands out there in midfield. Short week upcoming for both these squads. As we said, both are going to head over to, one's going to head over to Scott County, and Egan's going to head down to Lakeville North, which is close enough to Scott County. So, Nathan, any final thoughts as we wrap this one up?
Well, the Eagan Wildcats have had endured a very challenging season, and it's been a challenging season for the players, their parents, their fans, their coaches. This is definitely not the way that they wanted to have this game go. You and I both thought that they had a chance to be in this game, but there were too many mistakes, and we've had this the whole year long. Too many mistakes, not enough focus, too many fumbles. Quite candidly, as you see there at the bottom of your screen, you can see the Eastview fans and the players celebrating with the Key to the City trophy. Hopefully, Eagan gets something out of this game, and maybe we found some new receivers. Maybe we've got a few new plays that we've developed that we liked. And next week's game against Lakeville North is, let's face it, it's going to be an extremely challenging game, even to stay out of running time in the fourth quarter, maybe, quite candidly, Mike. But the bottom line is that, if you're Eagan, you focus on what's positive, you focus on what you did tonight. The defensive line played their best game of the night.
Absolutely.
Their best game of the year, I should say.
Absolutely.
They were borderline dominant. And so if they can build on that and develop that a little bit and start getting ready for next season, right? Like you said, you got a lot of juniors out there. We're going to see some sophomores out there. Get those guys some reps. Get those guys some opportunities to play under the lights on the big Friday night stage and see what happens.
Yep. So we're going to find out. As we said, short week. We'll be down there. I think we're scheduled to be there at Lakeville North. It'll be the Wildcats' next game, Wednesday the 17th. Sure and check us out on ETV. On behalf of the entire crew, Josh Sibley and the guys down in the truck, everybody running cameras, graphics, audio, I'm sure I'm missing stuff. He's Nathan Crown, I'm Mike Cook. We say thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time for Wildcat football on ETV.